Hi there, my name is Sam, and with Instant you can build for Shopify as if you design in your favorite design tool. Simply grab an element and you can place it anywhere you want, or grab an element and scale it any way you like. In this course, I'm going to teach you how to build pages and sections for Shopify using the grid layout in Instant. The grid is an easy to use layout type that makes Instant work like popular design tools such as Canva or Figma. We're going to build this section right here from scratch and publish it to Shopify. So let's get started. Before we dive into building, let's quickly go over the interface. On the left, we have the insert panel starting with elements. This is where you can drag in elements such as the grid layout type, basic elements, Shopify product elements, and advanced elements such as carousels and galleries. Next to elements, we have templates. This is where you can access our template library. Underneath the insert panel, we have the layer panel. And this is where you can see all the layers your page or section consists of. You can rename layers and you can change the order of layers. Underneath the layer panel, we have the layout panel, and this is where you can create new layouts. Starting with pages, this is where you can create your new landing pages, your home page, about page, whatsoever. Underneath pages, you can create your product templates, then sections, and last but not least, blog posts. Next up is brand styles, and this is where you can create different color styles and different text styles. I've created a few styles that we will use in this build, which will allow us to build faster and remain consistent. Underneath brand styles, we have the asset panel, and this is where you can upload all of your images. Any image you already uploaded within Shopify does not need to be uploaded in Instant, since you can access all your product assets in Shopify directly from within Instant. And I will show you this when we will start building. Then at the top, you can see the different viewports, which will allow you to customize the experience for every single viewport that exists. Then going to the right side of our screen, we have the preview button. This is where we can preview what our page or section looks like on the different viewports. And then next to the preview button, we have the publish button, which of course allows us to publish whatever we've created to our Shopify store. On the right, you have the panel where you can control and customize any element. Starting with the style, where you have all the different styling options, such as the size, spacing, text, you name it. Next to styles, we have interactions. This is where you can create click actions or add effects, such as a mouse hover effect. And next to interactions, we have settings. Last but not least, from the top left corner, we can access our project settings. And within our project settings, we have the general settings, such as the name of the project. Then we have Shopify, where we can see to what store our project is connected to, or if it's not connected, we can connect our Shopify store right here. We can also choose to what team we want to publish, our live team or development team, for example. We can invite people, we can upload custom fonts, and we can select our plan. And that's it for the interface. Now let's get started with building. We're first going to build the layout of the page from scratch. This will enable us to dive into the ins and outs of the grid. When it's built, we'll connect everything to our Shopify product data. But first things first, let's drag in a grid element right here. And there we have it. To see the power of the grid and how intuitive and easy it is to build with it, let's drag in our first element, which will be an image. We can place the image anywhere by grabbing it, and we can also scale it any way we want. And as we scale this element, we can also see the size. So currently it's 32 grid cells by 28 grid cells. When we move an image or any element on the grid, we will see these pinkish columns appear in the background. And these columns are here to help you position elements more easily and accurately. We can position an element on the grid by grabbing it and moving it around, but we can also see and influence the position from the right panel. So the current X location is 43. If we change this to 1, the image will go all the way to the left. The current Y location is 7. If I change this to 1, the image will snap all the way to the top. Then when we move the image again, you will see that the pinkish columns don't snap to the outer edges of the canvas. And the reason for that is that on the main grid element, there's 40 pixels worth of inside spacing to the left and right. If we delete this and move the image again, you will see that the columns snap to the outer edges of the canvas. Now let's add back the 40 pixels worth of inside spacing to the left and right. Another important concept to understand is that when we make the image or any element larger than the grid currently is, the grid will automatically grow with it, as you can see right here. Another way to make the grid larger is by selecting the main layer, and then in the bottom right corner you can drag the grid down and make it larger. Important to note is that you can't make the grid smaller if that's in conflict with the elements placed on the grid. So right here we bump against this image. In this case, to make the grid smaller, we first select the image, make the image a little bit smaller, and then scale the grid accordingly. Now let's give this grid element a height of 60. That's what we want for this layout. Then we place this image right around here, and we give this a height of 51 and a width of 35. Now let's grab a button and place it right here on top of the image. Give it a width of 25 and place it right around here. Then we grab a text element. This will be a heading, and this will later on, when we connect it to Shopify, hold the product title. We position it right here on top of the image and all the way to the left. Then underneath we grab another text element. This will later on be the price when it's connected to Shopify. Right around here is good. Then another text element, which will be a paragraph, and we will later connect this to the product description. There we have it. Then we grab another text element and we place it right here next to the image on the same height as the other text element. This will hold the color variant picker, so let's also grab that element right under Shopify variant. The color picker, drag it in right here. Of course, nothing shows. We will do this in the next step. Then I want to move this image a little bit to the left. So the current X location is 46. I want this to be 40. There we go. And then we can move these elements a bit more to the left. There we have it. Last but not least, let's grab a product star rating and place it all the way at the bottom and align it with the button on the right, the header text element on the left. And there we have it. The layout is complete. The next step is to connect it to Shopify, and then we will style it and make it responsive. We're going to select the main layer, which is the grid, and connect it to one of our Shopify products. We open up Shopify Content, then we select Shopify and choose a product, and in this case work with the Glide Air product. Now it's connected, as seen by the green outline. Before this was blue, now it's green, indicating that we're working with Shopify Content on this grid layer. A few things have already changed, which is the star rating element, which is connected to our third-party Shopify app, in this case Judge Me, and the color variant pickers are also now visible because these were already connected to the Shopify product content. Now let's make sure to connect all the other elements to our Shopify content, starting with the image. Currently the content is set to static. Now if we change this to Shopify, it will show our product image, and we can choose the featured image or all the other images I've uploaded to Shopify. Next up, let's connect this text element to our product title. The text element is selected, And under content, we click on this icon and then we can connect it to our product title. There we have it. Now let's connect this text element to our price. Under content, we connect it to our product price and now it's visible. Next up, let's connect this text element to our product description. Click on this layer and select product description, and now it shows the product description from our Shopify store. We move this element a little bit to the left. This looks about right. And then there's one more thing we can do, and that is to change the destination of this button. So by default, if we go to interactions, this button is going to a link, but I don't want this. The action I want to add to this button is add to cart, and then to go to the cart or go to the checkout. In this case, I select go to cart. Now, when we preview this build, you can also see that the color variant picker works out of the box, which is great. Next up, we're going to style this layout so it looks more beautiful. Let's start with the color variant picker. It's selected, then we select the individual options, and currently the size is 28 pixels by 28 pixels. I want these to be a little bit bigger, so let's change it to 40 by 40. Then the text above this should say colors, and then the color of this text element can be this branded color right here. Next up, we can go to the image. I want the top left corner and the top right corner to have nice and round corners. To accomplish this, we select the image. We scroll down and then we open up the radius option, and to the top left corner we add a radius of 12, and to the top right corner we also add a radius of 12, resulting in these nice and round corners. Then for the text element on the left, we set the color to this branded color, and the weight of the font, regular and size is already correct. Then for the price element, we scroll down, we add the right color. The size of the text is already correct, but I want the weight to be semi-bold, and there we have it. Next up, let's customize this button. So the current color is not correct. I want this to be this brand color, and to make sure the radius matches with the radius of the image, let's change the radius from 8 to 12. Then I also want to add an icon within this button. So to do that, we go to the insert panel and then we add an icon right here and add it within the button. We can change the size of the icon to 24 by 24. Then we change the color to white. Now it's more visible, and the icon to a card icon, this one right here. Currently, these two elements are pretty close to each other. To change this, we will change the distribute setting to distribute from the left and right. Now it's pretty close to the edges of this button, so let's add a bit more inside spacing to the left and right. I would say 24, and this already looks way better. Then there's one more thing I want to add to this button, and that is a hover effect. Currently, when we preview and hover over this button, nothing really happens. So to change that, we select the button, go to interactions, and then we add a effect, in this case a mouse hover effect. And what we want to happen when someone hovers over this button is to change the fill color of this button to this branded black color right here. Now when we preview and hover over this button, the color changes. And that's it for styling this layout. Now let's make it responsive. With the grid, elements scale automatically to match the width of the viewport. And what this means is that in most cases you only have to focus on the mobile viewport, since the other viewports will look good without really doing anything. So let's preview and see what we need to change. Of course, this looks good. As we make this larger, this also scales very nicely. And as we make this smaller and select the laptop viewport, this also looks good. and the tablet viewport also still looks good. Then when we select the mobile viewport, this is where it starts to look a little bit weird. So we know we have to focus on the mobile viewport. So let's quickly do that. We exit the preview mode. We are within the mobile viewport and now we can customize it. The first thing I'm going to do is make the grid itself larger. So let's scroll down a little bit and make the grid larger and extend it all the way to 77. Then we grab this button and place it all the way at the bottom and make sure it fills up all the space that is available in terms of the width. Then we grab the image, we move it down a little bit. This looks about right. And then we make the image less high and we scale it all the way down to 36 grid cells. Then we have the text element right here, the title. Let's make this a little bit smaller. And next to the title, we will place the price element all the way to the right. There we have it. Then we have the star rating element. Let's grab it and put it underneath the product title. Then we have the product description. Place it underneath the product star rating. Make sure it also extends to the full width that is available. Then we have the color text element with the color variant picker. Place it right there and then the color variant picker underneath. And there we have it. In a true what you see is what you get experience, you can make these builds responsive really fast and easily. Now let's tweak it a little bit more. This text element can be placed a bit more on top. The same for this review element and the product description. Then as well for the colors and the color variant picker, we can make the image a little bit larger and the grid a little bit smaller. There we have it. Now we preview and this looks really, really good. Of course, the color variant picker works and everything also works as expected. Now, when we scale this mobile viewport a little bit, this all looks really, really good. And there we have it. We've just made this build responsive. Next up, we publish it to Shopify. Currently, what we have built is just part of a complete page because we can add way more content to this page, such as a product benefits section, a comparison table, user-generated content, you name it. And to extend this page, there are two ways. First of all is to drag in a new grid layout underneath the existing grid layout we have just created and add your content and repeat the process until you're done. Another way is to open the template library. From within the insert panel, under templates, we can open the template library and then we can add whatever section we want to this page. For example, this one right here. And again, repeat this process until you're happy with the page. Since what we've currently built is more of a section rather than a complete page, I will convert this page layout into a section and then we publish this to our Shopify store, which works in the same way as publishing a page. So let's convert this page into a section. To do that, we select the main layer, which is currently selected. Then we right click and click on Save as Section. The section has been created. If we open the layout panel, you can also see that we are within a section. And before we published, we should give this section a name. We open the settings, we call this section Grid 101, and then we publish this section to our Shopify store. The section has been added, so now let's go to the Shopify theme editor. Right here on my homepage, as you can see right here, I want to add this section. Important to note is that you can add this section to whatever page you have within Shopify. To do so, simply click on Add Section, search for the right section, in this case Grid 101, and then add it to your page. And of course, it's functional and responsive as well, just as we have built it within Instant. And that's it for this course. I hope you have a good understanding on the ins and outs of Grid, which will help you build beautiful layouts fast and easy. If you have any questions during your building process, feel free to reach out to our support team and good luck.